Since it's time to be a little with which one of you? What will you do? When the stakes are the border rise, it's no time to make a compromise. Turn to the river, shuffle to the bridge, never we find out just what it is.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all are having a great day today. I'm fixing to head in and play a little bit of 1-3 No Limit Texas Hold'em. Game hasn't started yet, probably waiting for a couple more people. I'm going to go ahead and get in there, get my chips, and get ready to go. I will see you guys inside on the felt. Let's go. Let's see if we can do a little felt fishing. The very first hand I get dealt in the session is pocket nines in the cutoff. Under the gun raises to $7. I have a few options here. Right now the table is five-handed. This hand is pretty strong five-handed. I could raise and probably should a lot of the time, but I elect to just making the call. Everyone else folds, and we're off to a flop heads up. The flop is the absolute best flop I could ask the poker gods for. The flop is the 9 of clubs, 8 of spades, 2 of hearts. Fireworks are going off and I'm doing cartwheels in my head, hoping he continues his aggression and bets out. Unfortunately, he just checks. So in this spot I have two options. Looking in hindsight, I maybe should have checked, however I bet $15 into the pot. He doesn't take too long before he throws his cards away. I drag in the small pot and we're off to a pretty good start. On the button, I peel my cards back and there are two kings staring at me. That's right, I had the second best starting hand in Hold'em, pocket kings. Starting off this session right, I'm thinking to myself, I raised $15 pre-flop. The small blind is happy to oblige and makes the call. Everyone else gets out of the way. The flop comes 9 of hearts, 8 of diamonds, 3 of clubs. This flop seems relatively safe. No flush draws, and there's possibly a straight draw. The only hands that could beat me right now would be pocket 9s, 8s, 3s, or some two-pair holdings, particularly 9-8. The small blind checks, I then lead out for $20. He thinks about it, then makes the call. In real time, I'm thinking he could have a 9 or 8 in his hand to make a pair or a possible straight draw. The turn comes the 6 of hearts. He waits a second or two and then checks. This card isn't a great card for me, but it isn't the worst either. There's now a flush draw, and hands like 10-7 and 7-5 complete the straight. I test the waters and bet out $35. If he hit his straight, he will more than likely raise now, especially when a flush draw is out there. He just calls. Now the river is the 8 of hearts. It pairs the board, which means there are possible full houses, and it brings in the backdoor flush. He now bets out $50. What the fluff did I get myself into? I don't think he has the flush because I have the king of hearts. I feel like the straight draw would have raised on the turn. If he had two pair, then he got counterfeited. Does he have a third 8? He made that bet somewhat small. All these thoughts happen within less than a second real time because I throw in a chip for a snap call. I get the bad news as he tables 8-9 of clubs. It seems like I like to just light my money on fire. I should have thought it through to make the fold. The next hand I get involved with, I'm in the cutoff. I have Jack of diamonds, 8 of diamonds. Not quite a suited connector, but it's suited and connected enough. I really like this hand and hands like it, like Jack 9 and Jack 10. Under the gun 2 raises $10 pre-flop. I make the call, and the small blind comes along too. The flop is a pretty good one for me. It comes king of diamonds, 2 of diamonds, 6 of spades. Under the gun 2 c-bets for $19. This is a pretty strong bet from this particular player in his position. I'm putting him at the top of his range, pocket aces, kings, queens, or ace-king. Hitting a jack won't probably help me. So here we are fixing to play the Let's Make a Flush lottery, starting price $19. So I plunge in looking to hit the flush to dig myself out of the hole I dug with the pocket king's hand. The turn is the 9 of clubs. This more than likely changes nothing for either of us. It's a really safe card for the aggressor. He leads out for $20. That makes my decision pretty easy. He's giving me too much value to fold, and it doesn't make sense to raise here. So I make the easy call, just hoping and praying the dealer gives me the flush on the river. The river comes the ace of diamonds. I've done it. It sucked out of my opponent on the river with the second nut flush. He leads out with the bet of $5. This is a trick that people will use to find out where they are. If they get raised more than the $5, a lot of times they will fold. They're trying to avoid checking and calling a bigger bet. If I just call his $5, he probably has me and risk the bare minimum to win the pot. So of course I re-raise him to $35, and he immediately folds. I scoop the pot, and that helps stop the bleeding. Before this hand, I was slowly dwindling down, seeing flops and having to fold. Hopefully this is a really good sign. Alright guys, just a quick update. It's not going too well. I'm down 120 or 30 bucks. Been playing roughly an hour. The very first hand I really got involved with had pocket nines. I had trips, but got very minimal action on that. A pocket kings hand. Got a little too stubborn. Went ahead and made the call. Probably should have folded, but I was getting really good pot odds, so I knew I was beat. It was still a bad call. And then I've just seen several pocket pairs not connect on pre-flop, and then several other hands not connecting on pre-flop, slowly dwindling down. I did have the flush I hit on the river. The guy putting the $5 out, knowing he was going to fold as soon as I raised. So I got a little bit back, right around the 170, 180 mark. Gonna try to see if I can improve my luck. Hopefully we'll have some good news when we come back. All right, let's get back to the felt. After the break, the next notable hand I'm involved in, I have the queen of clubs and the four of clubs in the small blind. There's a straddle on the button for $6. I make the call, the cutoff makes the call, and the button checks. The flop comes 10 of clubs, 5 of clubs, 8 of hearts. That's a pretty good flop for me. I have a flush draw, and a backdoor straight draw, and an overcard. I'm first to act, so I lead out with a feeler bet of $10. The cutoff must like the flop because he comes along for $10. The turn is the king of diamonds. I definitely don't love that card because now if my queen pairs, it may not be good. However, it's unlikely he stuck around for a king X holding. So I continue putting pressure on my opponent and bet $20. The good news is he doesn't raise me, but he still makes the call. He could have a 10 in his hand and is getting sticky, possibly a straight draw like Jack 9 or 9-7, or he could be on a flush draw with me. The river is the queen of spades. Now, I've picked up a little equity with the pair, however the straight draw does get there. I could check, but if he bets, it could put me in a difficult decision. His body language is telling me he isn't happy about the river, so I go ahead and make a $30 bet. If he raises, then I will have to fold. However, he folds, and I add a few more chips my way. I'm under the gun and I look down and see ace of clubs, jack of spades, so I lead out for $15 pre-flop. I get the cutoff to make the call and we're heads up to the flop. On the flop we see 6 of hearts, 7 of hearts, 10 of diamonds. Now that's not the flop I wanted to see. I have 2 overcards, but there's a possibility of a straight and a flush draw being out there. I'm going to start with a check to keep the pot from getting out of hand on the next few streets. He checks right behind me. The turn comes the ace of spades. That drastically improves me to top pair, and since he checks on the flop, I lead out for $20. The cutoff isn't going anywhere, he makes the call for $20. The river is the 2 of clubs. That shouldn't have changed anything. That is the brickiest of brick cards. I make it $35, and he must have missed or got unlucky on the turn because he throws his cards away. We're getting back to a little more than 2/3 of my starting stack, but I'm still stuck for the session. One of the last hands of the nights I get involved with, I'm in the hijack and I take a gander at my cards. I have the king of hearts, jack of diamonds. Under the gun 2 raises 13 pre-flop, myself and 2 other people make the call. We're off to a flop, and it comes king of diamonds, 9 of clubs, 2 of spades. That flop is the exact type of flop I wanted to see. My adrenaline is pumping and I know I'm probably ahead of everyone. The action checks around to Under the Gun 2, who C-bets to $30. I make the call, and Under the Gun makes the call as well. The pot is now getting sizable. Now we're off to the turn, which comes the 8 of diamonds. That card really shouldn't hit them or me that much. Under the Gun checks, and now Under the Gun 2 sizes up to $100. So this is where it gets interesting for me. I really don't think calling is good in this spot because I only have $231 in my stack. So I would be pot committed to call the river. He's upping his aggression with 2 callers. This tells me he has a strong hand. So now what hand could he have? Aces, queens, or ace king are the ones that he is most likely to have. I probably can't get aces to fold here, but I can put a lot of pressure on ace, king, and queens if he believes I've got him beat. So I either have to fold or go all in. Now it's only 131 more, but that's most of his remaining stack. So I flick in a chip and say those magical words, all in. Under the Gun quickly folds. Just a little side note here. Under the Gun 2 and I have gotten in 2 hands previously. One where I made a small bluff on the turn and he called me. The other where I rivered a flush and he called a $30 river bet. Neither hand made the vlog, but I wanted to give some history of why this hand was fixing to play out the way it's fixing to. Now, back to the hand. If he has a pair of kings or higher, he is pot committed and should probably call a good portion of the time. Now, he is really agonizing over this. He just called me down not too long ago, and I had the goods. That's good news for me because he didn't snap call, so really dominant hands are not in his range. He's trying to put me on a hand. My all-in is extremely polarizing. Either his hand is ahead or he's way behind. My hand looks like the hand I have, but it also looks like I have a hand like pocket nines, pocket deuces, or something like king 9. He turns over his hand while he's still talking out his process out loud. I see ace king out of the side of my eye, and I'm kind of shocked he hasn't called yet. But poker is a funny game. He had been running bad and recently ran bad with me. After a couple minutes go by, he releases his cards. I show him what I have because the table asked me to show. He wasn't happy, to say the least. Sometimes pure aggression just pays off. I pull the chips in with relief, and I am finally up in the session. Ka-ching! Later on, I get into one more hand with him that I didn't get footage of because I was just about to get up and leave. I had pocket 8. He raised $16 pre-flop. I make the call. The flop is ace 8-4 with 2 hearts. He bets $30. I re-raise him to $130. I assume he has an ace. He looks agitated and almost makes the call. However, he does fold. I tell him it was a good fold. Now it's time to rack up and get out of here.
It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
Alright, you guys, I just finished up my session. Played for a couple hours. Now I'm heading over to Hook and Pass Christian. So follow me along and I will see you guys there. Hook sits in downtown Pass Christian, Mississippi, and is the essence of Gulf coastal cuisine. They've been in business since 2012, but the owners have been serving food for their community longer than that. They have a very eclectic and mouthwatering menu which offers Gulf Coast staples like seafood gumbo, oysters, fried green tomatoes, and daily fresh catches. They also have wraps, sandwiches, salads, steak, and chicken options as well. I start my delightful adventure off with their Fairies fries. They're tossed in truffle oil, parsley, and Parmesan cheese. I then have the Tiger shrimp, which is 10 crispy fried Gulf shrimp tossed in sweet Thai chili sauce with pickled jalapenos. I also wanted to get their special that day, which was their homemade burger for $6.50. I added their bacon and goat cheese croquette for a couple of more dollars. Everything was beyond delicious, as it always is. And if you're in town, come see them. You will be glad that you did. All right, you guys, just ate a delicious meal here at Hook. Session went better than expected. I was down during the updates. Started climbing my way back up a little bit with a few hands early on. But then just kept getting flop dead for the most part, having to call certain flops and not being able to continue on. But then at the end, with that King Jack hand, that I was able to really play and get things move it in a positive direction with just making that type of bet and him not calling it down. So yeah, really, really great session. I'm really, really happy about it. All right, well, guys, if you haven't already, please comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Have a great one. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. Bye.